What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 20 on my road to 700 pounds on bench press. This week is a scheduled deload week. I take a deload once every fourth week. Basically, I back the weights off 65, 75%. A lot of it's based on numbers, but some of it's based on feel. The purpose of it is an active rest week. It's so I'm not sitting on my couch eating bonbons and watching TV all day long. It's so that I can still get to the gym. I still do pretty much the same exact exercises that I did the week prior, just not near as heavy and not as much intensity. A lot of it is less reps sometimes and less sets, so the volume is dramatically reduced. Start off here, I do my foam rolling. I do it on a PVC pipe just to dig into the muscle a little bit more. That's how I typically will roll out before my bench sessions, also before my squat deadlift. Here I'm doing my arm circles, my arm rotations. I do this before every bench day and actually before every upper day. So I do this before day 1 and day 2, technically on my bench only cycle. I do stretch bands as well. This warms up the shoulders, the rotator cuff. This is a huge piece of my recovery after workout and my prehab and my warm-ups before every workout. And I literally will do this before squats as well, and sometimes even deadlifts if I feel like I'm really tight in the shoulders. This is just part of how I get into the zone of a workout. It never hurts to warm everything up a little more than maybe you think. It's not taxing. This is not a hard thing to do. I mean, if I did thousands of them, sure, I'd get burned out and probably not be able to do my workout. But, you know, I do probably anywhere from 10 to 20 repetitions of each type of stretch. As you see, I'm just kind of rolling my neck. I'm kind of getting my feel. I'm just getting in the zone here. This is a deload week, so it's very hard to get amped up. Today's working set is a top set of 455 for 3 sets of 3. That is not heavy for me. Now, it will feel heavy typically on a deload week because I'm not bringing it. You know, it's easy to say you want to make sure you bring it. You want to bring the pain every single time, not necessarily to the point of failure, obviously, but you don't want to go to the gym, especially when you're training for a powerlifting meet. You're training to get stronger. I go every single time to get stronger and to focus on the weights, but sometimes it's just hard to focus. So I go through my warm-ups very methodically. As you can see, I'm treating that bar as if I'm warming up for a 600-pound bench or higher. So I go through the same repetition. I'm going to show kind of the whole warm-up for the most part. So I go with the bar, sometimes 10 to 20 reps, sometimes 5 or 6. Just really just depends on how my shoulders feel. I slide a plate on there. I go through 135, and this is just to get my my CNS warmed up. I'm gonna get my body warmed up, my pecs warmed up. But I know that my top set today is only 455, and that's normally just a warm-up rep on my way to 600 plus pounds. So it really takes a couple different things. One is I know it's going to be light, but when I get to it, and I'll explain here in a minute when I'm doing it, it's actually a grinder. It's not necessarily, it doesn't look like a grinder, and it doesn't feel like it in the muscles, but in the mind, I'm just tired, and it's because I've had 3 weeks of hard, heavy weight. So I went 600 for 3, then I went 615 for 2, and then last week was 630 for 2. That, along with all of the accessories that I do, is a lot of volume and a lot of work. I am tired. So this week, even though it's only 455, which is basically 200 pounds less than next week or even last week, the body's tired. If you get out of bed and you're tired, you're not going to run the fastest 40 that you've ever run. You're not going to play the best game you've ever played. You're not going to be in your mindset right away. Your body's kind of tired. It needs to wake up. So that's kind of how I explain a deload and how I feel. You'll see that I pretty much do the exact same thing. You know, I'm a creature of habit, as we all are, but I also train these habits. And deload weeks is a great way to make sure your habits are healthy and that you're staying in the right habits. So I get set up for 405 just like I will for 650 or 660 or whatever. So unrack And this actually feels really heavy to me, but it moved great. You know, I looked at the video after every one of them. You know, I hop right up, but it feels heavier than 405 should feel to me. And that just tells me that I needed a deload. So without further ado, going into the first set here, you know, get my mind right, and I treat this 455 with a lot of respect. And I always do. I'll never treat 455 or almost any weight with zero respect, because 135 can hurt you. So going in here, first set with 455. Nice pauses. Now they look really explosive, and I'm happy to see the speed here because I'm really focusing on making sure that I'm driving through the whole rep. But during those reps, it felt like a ton. It's odd how that is, but that's how a deload does for some people. This is second set here, 3 reps paused. Feels good. So glad that those 2 are over here, and going for a top visual here just to show you guys where I set up. I actually have 19 inches from index finger to index finger, so about 1 inch outside the knurling. This is my regular grip. It's not a close grip for me. I'm very tricep dominant, as you guys have seen in my recaps, but I do this and you'll see in my face, this is 455. It feels, see, I'm just gritting my teeth just to get it off of there. And here, grinding my teeth there. And in between, it feels fine. See? And so it's just, and I can give you guys a look there. But the rep itself, it's odd how that feels. So my message to you guys is, if you're ever doing your reps and it just feels really, really heavy, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Your body is human. You're going to feel a little bit of uncomfortableness, especially in deloads. It can play tricks on you. Dips didn't dip down, no pun intended. Too light this week. We still kept them up, quite heavy, but not super heavy. This is 2 sets of 5 with 200 pounds, and not quite heavy enough to black out, but definitely treat it with respect. I want to show you guys just a little bit higher angle to show about my range of motion. I do not advocate going ass to grass, if you will, on these. You definitely don't want to go too far down and stretch those pecs, but for me, this is a perfect range of motion. It keeps it in the triceps. If I go too far down, it comes out of the triceps and into the chest and into the shoulders way too much, and that would be extremely unsafe and unstable, actually. That's the 2 sets. Dips are done. Deload weeks typically get done pretty quick. Set called for seal rows. I don't have a proper setup for a seal row, so I just did some bent over rows here. Typically, this is 185 pounds for 3 sets of 6. This is not heavy at all for me. If I was to do 300 pounds plus, it could tax my lower back a little more than I would like. And I can't do too many of these type of sets during the week because the lower back just doesn't heal up as fast. Upper back wise, if I can do chest supported, seal rows, incline rows, dumbbell rows, I could do rows probably 4 or 5 times a week with super heavy weight, and I will heal up fine because the upper back just heals for me that fast. Moving on, got some dumbbell pause floor flies. You can tell by my face there. This is 60 pounds lighter than last week, but the pecs are definitely still healing up this week, so the lighter load helps me to get some blood flow, get some work in there without it being too taxing. This is 2 sets of 12, and these were not comfortable, to say the least, but I'm used to that when it comes to deloads. These will jump back up to 65 pounds next week, and they'll feel just fine. But still weighing in at a pretty lean 290. Sometimes it's about 288 in the morning, and I'm actually happy with that. My intake, approximately, I don't really count calories, but a darn good assumption is about 8 to 8,500 calories a day. That consists a lot of restaurant food, I'll be honest. The family and I do not like to do dishes. We do not like to cook at home. We don't want to deal with the drama. We just go out and eat and let them clean it up. It's actually not too expensive. We're pretty moderate about the restaurants that we choose. We do have 3 kids, so we have to stay conscious about that. I don't want to be spending $100 every meal. But we can find some pretty decent restaurants that it's 40, 50 bucks a day, and we're done. So it's not the healthiest in the world, but it's not unhealthy. It's not like we're sitting there eating Taco Bell all the time. So moving on, this is the last set of day 1, tricep push down rope with a 2-second contraction. Really focusing on killing the triceps on these because they will heal up fast. This is just 2 sets of 12. As you know, last week I had the whole stack plus 25. So this is 130. This is basically 100 pounds less. So I'm really focusing on just exploding and driving down and holding with those triceps. Those triceps will be a powerful ally in my goal with 700 pounds on bench. They need to be able to hold more than that. Let's just put it that way. And so being a close grip bencher, these triceps are one of the very most important keys to my success. So this is going to wrap up day 1. Day 2, I actually did some squats. I'm not going to show those because they don't really have to pertain to my bench. But I did about a 200 or so yards in the pool. Not focusing on super fast sprinting or anything crazy. This is just shoulder rotation, moving through the water, wading through the water, honestly just feeling the temperature and just relaxing. This is a good way for me, considering I am a competitive swimmer and have been for my whole life, to really just go back to the water, feel comfortable, you take a lot of the weight off the body and just be able to, under a very lightened load, be able to just relax and swim and rotate those shoulders, get some blood flow in there. This feels really good from doing. Yesterday was actually day 1, today's day 2 technically on a Tuesday, and just really floating through the water, basically just relaxing. I might actually hit the hot tub after a few laps in the pool here. I probably spend maybe 20 minutes in the pool doing about 8 laps. 8 laps is a 200 in this particular pool. This is a yards pool. So just to give a little insight about some of my swimming background, a lot of you guys ask about my times. My fastest times were sub 2 minutes in the 200. I would typically go about 144 to 145 on any given race, which wasn't the world's fastest by any means, but considering it's taken me about 20 minutes to do the same amount of yards, what I used to do in under 2 minutes is kind of funny. But like I said, I'm 290, so it's not an unhealthy weight by any means. Everything checks out, with blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not worried about anything like that. But cardio, I don't do a heck of a lot of it, not direct cardio. So swimming is a good way to get the heart rate up without it, having to pound through, running through miles on a track or going out and just sweating my butt off, trying to get cardio in through something else. Obviously you're sweating in the pool, but unless you're going balls to the wall here, you're not sweating too much. But when you're really going at it with swimming, you'll sweat and you just sweat in the water, you don't even know. But I would not advise swimming hard if you haven't done it, because it is a tough sport, and I especially would not recommend swimming hard if you're trying to recover and use this like on a recovery week or a deload week, or even just during the week if you're lifting in general. I would ease into it. Start with 1 or 2 laps. There's nothing wrong with that, and then work up to 3 or 4 laps. I don't think I go much over about 20 laps, which is about 500 on any given day in my training cycle now, just because it takes a lot of energy to do that. But that's going to be it for the swimming portion of this day 2. Go hang out in the hot tub for a little bit after that and call it a day. But this is actually done 2 days later, day 3. This is going to end it up for the week. This is my rear delt flies, and this is 120 pounds, very, very light. This is, like I said, this is just getting the motion going and just getting some blood flow. This is 2 sets of 15, and honestly, this was not even really a warm-up, if you will. Treated it as such. I still did my shoulder rotations, my band work, put my ointments on just to treat it as if I was going into a heavy day 2 like normal. Don't want to change up too many of the habits because mentally my body, yes, my body is actually resting, but my mind, I don't really let it rest on a deload week. I want it to feel the competition's coming up 3 weeks from now, actually 3.5 weeks, and we need to be ready. So this is a great time to still train the mind, but let the body rest. Second set here is 2 sets of 15 with the seated lateral raises, and this is just a nice little shoulder warm up for me. 70 pounds on here, 30 pounds lighter than last week. Moving on, got some feet up dumbbell bench with 70s. This 2 sets of 15, and I believe I just went ahead and did 30 reps. I'm trying to remember exactly what I did here. This is a warm-up weight as well. Yeah, I just went through 30 reps and called it a day. Just get some blood flow, just to get the motion of the bench press. Next set here is the straight arm fully extended dumbbell pullovers. 20 pounds lighter than last week. This 35-pound dumbbell. Very, very light, just going through the motions again. 2 sets of 15. I'm only going to show you guys one. And like I've said before, this is a great stretch just to get those lower pecs, upper pecs, and even shoulders just stretched out a little bit with a little help of some weighted dumbbell there, just to help pull those arms a little bit back. But by this time of the week, this is on a Thursday, I'm still a little banged up from the week prior. Shoulders are still a little tight. I'm still having to do some recovery stuff with ice and heat. I've got one of those jigsaw massagers, and I've got a carb buffer that I use. Definitely utilize some stretching and bands throughout the week, and that's through any week, but on a deload I really am focused on making sure I'm 100% recovered. Next set here is 3 sets of 12. I'm only going to show one with the 35-pound dumbbells. This is the dumbbell paused tricep extensions on the floor. But next week we have 660 for a single, and that will not be a PR, but it definitely is going to be gearing up for probably about a 675 to 685 week 22, and that will be 1 week or so, about 9 days prior to the competition on February 9th. So a lot of you guys ask what the progression looks like, and that's what peaking is, going from 3 reps to 2 reps to 1 reps in quick succession. I don't want to stay with singles too long. I want to make sure the strength is there, and then we zip right up to it, knock out the meat, and then get back to some training. Last thing for the day is the IYT dumbbell raises. This is 3 sets of 12, just showing 1 5-pound dumbbells. Keep the shoulders healthy. This is very much a lactic acid build-up set. 12 reps of this, well, technically 36 total reps, is quite taxing on the shoulders. It doesn't take a lot of weight. If you put much more than 5 pounds, you're going to really, really hurt the next day. This is a good shoulder recovery exercise. Definitely get some blood flow in there. But that is it for the exercises on week 20. Like I said, we'll be hitting week 21 will be a 660-pound paused bench press, gearing up. As long as that moves fine, I think we'll be happy to move up 20 pounds or so after that. We'll just have to see how everything goes, make sure everything goes off without a hitch, and stay injury free. That is a huge thing at this point. But I thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @SwimHack, and I will see you guys next week. See ya.